Hi there, and welcome to the 4th episode of TBR Trials, the series in which I try to find a TBR game for myself. I'll link the playlist up there and also in the description so you can hear an explanation of what I'm trying to do. But today we're going to be playing Codenames. This is immediately one of the ones that I thought of when I was thinking of doing TBR Trials, and I think it's going to be pretty successful. Part of the reason that I'm excited is because I can see a very clear scoring system in my mind. Before I get into that, let me explain how Codenames works. The name of the game is to guess all of your team's words before the opposing team guesses all of theirs. You will build a 5x5 grid based on this card. So the red spots are one team, blue is another, and then there's one black spot with an X. That is the bad word. If you say that, it's like sinking the 8-ball and your team loses. So you'll build a 5x5 grid based on cards that look like this, which just have a word on them. And your goal is to say one word that combines as many of your words as possible, and then your team guesses, scoring happens. It's a good time. But seeing as it's just me, we're not going to be able to use this kind of thing. We're just going to be using 5 of these cards, and I'm going to try to find a word to put as many of them together as possible. And the way that I envision the scoring working is I have a certain threshold. So let's say my threshold is 12. That means of the 5 rounds that I'm going to play, I have to come up with words that count for 12 clues. So I couldn't just do 2 for everyone. Some of those need to be higher. And then depending on how high I get a reward. Depending on how low I get a punishment. I think that could work. We're not going to implement that today. We're just going to run it and see how it goes. This is also an interesting game for me too, because I'm opening myself up to scrutiny twice. Because basically I'll come up with the word that matches as many of the words as I can, which you will inevitably come up with something better than I did. And then I will also have to use that word to match a book, which is always a bit of a stretch anyways. Please feel free to leave suggestions though, like of words that you see that I might have missed. It is always interesting, if only slightly embarrassing. Sound good? Good. Okay, so the cards that I drew for the first round are here. Fork, nail, chest, dog, and helicopter. Take a minute and think if you can come up with a word to match at least some of these. It is harder than it looks. I should mention you also do say the number of clues that you think that it matches for, so that your team isn't just wildly guessing. So I will say how many I think it matches for. Maybe you could do some mental gymnastics to make it fit for more than just the number that I say, but that's all part of the game. So the word that I came up with was puncture, specifically to fit fork and nail. And the book that I have chosen for puncture is The Sanatorium by Pearse. This is because I want to read as many of the Goodreads choice as possible. This, I'm pretty sure, is going to be on it. I should also mention this TBR is inevitably going to change because I'm going to be really focused on the Goodreads Choice Awards this month, but I think I've chosen pretty well. So The Sanatorium is a murder mystery thriller set in an old mental institution. So I chose puncture both for murder mystery. I assume some stabby might happen, and also I think in terms of like medicine and needles, I think in a sanatorium a lot of medical work is done. So that's what I went with. Feel free to fight me. I am not confident in this one, but I want to read The Sanatorium. All right, round 2. Here are the words: band, hand, trip, bomb, nurse. This one I feel a bit better about my word that I have come up with, which is injury, which I'm using specifically for trip, bomb, and nurse. I'm pretty good with that one. You could always put hand in there, but I don't think it lends itself quite as neatly as the other ones. The book that I have chosen to read for injury is right here. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This is also going to fit the buzzword challenge for me. The buzzword for November is lost. This is basically the only book that I have with it, and I'm excited to get to it. It's about an apothecary shop owner and someone investigating it 200 years later. I really don't know much, but I've heard good things, and I'm excited to get to it. And also it's a beautiful cover. Look at it. I love it. I assume an apothecary would be able to cure an injury, so a pretty good round overall, I think. Round 3. The words are wind, lion, London, pitch, and Bond. This one I had a bunch of options for. It kept feeling like everything was so close to being right and never quite there. The clue that I came up with only counts for 2, but I'm okay with that. I have gone with British, which would meet London and Bond, James Bond. Which is also a pretty easy prompt because I just have to find something by a British author. And what I've come up with is I'd Let You Go by Clare Mackintosh. There's also another Clare Mackintosh that I might end up reading this month. Hostage is her 2021 release, but I chose I Let You Go because it's been on my TBR forever, first of all, and secondly because it meets my same month, different year challenge. I Let You Go was published in 2014, which is the farthest back I've gone on a same month, different year in a long time. Round 4, here are the words: apple, dance, spider, shadow, and tick. This was a tough one for me, but I ended up settling on black for 2. That would meet shadow and spider. I'm thinking Black Widow. Hopefully you are on the same train of thought as I am. Black is also a fairly easy prompt to fulfill too. For that, I'm going to be reading something with a black cover, and I decided on The Maidens by Michaelides. This is one I'm pretty sure is going to be on the Goodreads Choice Award and a Dark Academia, which BookTube loves, so I want to know what it's all about. Round 5, and arguably the most difficult round. The words are Canada, piano, crown, tap, and missile. I feel like there are a lot of ways I could go with this, but none of them were quite satisfying. The word that I ended up choosing was dance 2. I think that works for piano and tap. Hopefully, again, you are on the same train of thought as me. But then I ran into a problem immediately because I don't have any books about dance, and the only one that I do have would have been Instructions for Dancing, which I read like a week ago, so my bad. But what I ended up coming up with was Top 10 by Cotugno. This is about 2 friends who are just about to graduate from high school, and they have like a bucket list of all the things they want to do before that happens. But what do you do when you graduate high school? Prom. And I assume prom will feature heavily in this, so I think it works perfectly for dance. Or as perfectly as any book could. That's the TBR. I usually have other stuff that I mention at this point, but I met my 2 challenges and I want to keep my reading pretty open depending on what the Goodreads Choice Awards say. I think it actually might be announced the day that this video is coming out. I checked some historical information because I'm a nerd, and it seems to be a Tuesday around this time, so I think it'll be either this Tuesday or next Tuesday, so keep your eyes peeled. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We're going to be having another one of these next month, so come on back and join me. Thank you for watching. I think that's it. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.